Hello, and a very good day to all fit-bodied tomboys watching me. As for the rest of you... hi. I'm G. My channel's not monetized. Because of this, I suggest you pause this video and type uBlock Origin into your search bar. A website should come up that says ublockorigin.com, which will automatically detect your browser's compatibility. If you don't trust that, you can go to the official Chrome web store or Firefox add-on pages and download it from there. Now, not only will you no longer have to sit through advertisements while you watch this video, but also my comedic timing and genius shall be both recognized and unsullied throughout the entire video. You're welcome. For clarity, uBlock Origin is not sponsoring this video, nor do I know any of the developers personally. I just really fucking hate ads. Hey man, are you taking care of your hygiene? Are you taking care of... If you do want to support me in some way, I don't know how, because I don't have anything else. There's no Patreon, there's no Ko-fi or whatever it's called, so I don't know, type fucking gun in the comments. I think that does something. Or you don't have to. I mean, it's not up to, it's you, not me. Whatever, let's just... We begin in character creation, choosing the hero origin to start because that's what someone with a gun is, a hero. Choosing type A so my character renders faster, doing to have less foot pixels. I type the only character name befitting of such a run, and do that thing everyone thinks about doing at least once in their life, but never admits to thinking about because then everyone gets real uncomfortable. Leaving the Cave of Wonders, I found myself in Louisiana, head to the parish to pick up a smithing stone and get another Site of Grace before continuing to the Storm Gate where Melinda gives U-Torrent. From here we need to go up, and to go up we need to make the longest U-turn in the entire franchise to Stormhill so we can get the Arrow's Reach talisman from the loot box. In case you're unfamiliar with what this talisman does, it positively affects both the range and damage drop-off of bows, crossbows, and ballista, the last being what the jar cannon falls under. After strategically dying, we head south to cross over the Bridge of Sacrifice. Welcome to the wrong direction for normal place. Stop! First is to go to the Castle of Mourn Rampart, Site of Grace, where a nomadic merchant is. More on them later, maybe. I don't think. Continuing further south to get the map, and I ping the shit out of a jungler hiding near our tower. Back to the Bridge of Ballista Site of Grace, I head to the Forest Tower lookout and pick up the hand ballista and 5 ballista bolts.
Hold up! Wait a minute! Something ain't right!
Hand ballista? I thought this was a jar cannon run. It is, but there's a problem. The jar cannon is only obtainable 2 legitimate ways. You can have a friend drop it for you, or you can kill the boss of the Volcano Cave. Although I had been offered to have a jar cannon drop for me, the difference between the hand ballista and the jar cannon is in damage only. The hand ballista requires 30 strength and 14 dex to use, while the jar cannon requires 34 strength and 12 dex to use. I'm actually lying to you, but I'm going to explain more about this later on. Probably. Since the hand ballista and the jar cannon are functionally the same weapon, and in fact the hand ballista is weaker than the jar cannon, I consider this to still be in the spirit of the run. If you don't, that's okay. I still respect your opinion. Going back to the Castle Mourn Rampart Site of Grace where the nomadic merchant is, I realized 2 things. 1, this guy's supply of ballista bolts is limited. And I need to find another way to make ballista bolts. We'll come back to Florida later. After teleporting to the wrong fucking bonfire, I start making my way to Fort Height, picking up the map along the way and ensuring I touch Grace. The fort contains the left side of some 1943 German coin that apparently is rare for some weird reason. Continuing north, we arrive at the Third Church of Merrick, and get the flask of one-time use I think I ever used. That's a lie right there, I definitely used it. From here, we continue to Kaled. Welcome to California, it's currently the rainy season. Like most getting a foothold in this state, we begin by robbing from the dead. Resting at the Fort Gale north side of Grace, Melanie asks to hold hands and teleports me to Nexus 2 Roundtable Boogaloo, which I immediately leave from. Back in Cali, we head to Fort Gale proper. Fort Gale contains the Scar Scourge Heirloom, a talisman that increases strength by 5 points, as well as a Stargate that we use to teleport further south. As expected, the Tijuana Border Patrol spots me instantly. Resting at the impassable Great Bridge Side of Grace, the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater for the Nintendo DS, that's a real thing, look it up, get the Arrow Sting Talisman on our first try. The Arrow Sting Talisman functions similarly to the Arrow's Reach Talisman, and by that I mean they affect the same type of weapons, but don't function the same at all. Arrow's Sting adds 10% increase for damage to all bows, bolts, and yes, ballista. My endgame. Welcome to the beautiful and lush lands of Nevada. It's been 200 years since the bombs fell and reshaped America as we know it. Heading toward the bright lights of New Vegas, I stop at the Goodspring Cemetery, and to my surprise,
Hello there. It's good to see a friendly face.
I finally arrive at the strip where we meet the PvP Ash of War metagame Cavalry. He forgets he rides a horse and not a Pegasus, and I gain a Gorillion Souls. Using a few of the runes I've just acquired, I leveled Dex to 14 and Strength to 20. Some of you might be asking yourself right now, why only 20 Strength? Earlier in the video I mentioned the Hand Ballista and Jar Cannon require 30 and 34 Strength to use respectively. To the lay player, this seems like a pretty big fuck-up, but the Ballista have an odd quality about them. Despite these weapons having high strength requirements, Ballista cannot be fired without two-handing the weapons. So when you two-hand the weapons, the strength is increased by 1.5, meaning that the 20 strength gun has now become 30. Whether this is an intended mechanic or an oversight in programming doesn't much matter to me. All that matters is that now I can do damage. From here, we teleport back to Mr. Worldwide 305's Nightmare and buy a whopping 8 ballista bolts. I now have 13. Not gonna be enough. I need the crafting kit, but Santa and his rain donkey are taking a nap courtesy of the Moon Murderess. After speaking with her, she gives me a bell and what I assume were her college boyfriends. Resting at the side of Grace afterwards wakes up the merchant, and I get what I came here for in the first place. The crafting kit. Teleporting to the gate front side of Grace, we continue up Storm Hill to the War Master Shack. Along the way, I learned the Hand Ballista has melee attack while on horseback. Once at the War Master Shack, I need just fucking joking, I'm going north! Way north! Welcome to the Land of Lakes, hold the Native American imagery, please. I'm going all the way to the Bellum Church side of Grace because we're coming back here for real. Also, I'm here for another specific reason. The Nomadic Warriors Cookbook 13. God, they wrote a lot of these things. This item will allow us to craft 1 thick beast bone into 5 ballista bolts, which will be the cheapest form of ammunition we can acquire. Essential for early game. We're so close to bringing freedom to the lands betweens, I can almost smell the oil fields. Teleporting back to the Nexus, I upgrade the Hand Ballista to +1, as if that's gonna fucking do anything. Back at the War Master Shack, I wait until night and completely forget how to spawn the bell-bearing bastard. Apparently you must purchase at least 1 Ash of War to do so. Knowing I only have a limited number of runes to spend, I purchase Quickstep, which is 200 more than the other 3 choices, and never use it. In retrospect, this choice was twice as stupid because I literally just got Bloodhound Step. Once again, I wait until nightfall and the bellboy spawns. I spend the next 5 grueling minutes cheesing the ever-loving fuck out of him. Since this footage is going to take some time and so is this boss, now would be a good time for me to explain how the ballistae function. This weapon is as simple as it is complicated. While the ballista functions similarly to bows and crossbows, there are some glaring differences. First, the ballista can only fire 4 types of ammunition. Ballista Bolt, which does 150 physical damage, Bone Ballista Bolts, which do 140 damage, travel a shorter distance, and is the reason we're cosplaying as rooftop Koreans right now, Explosive Grade Arrows, which are basically just rockets, and Lightning Grade Arrows, which function similarly to Ballista Bolts, but have basically no fall-off damage. This all means that there is no way to afflict a boss with any form of aids and run until their healthcare refuses to pay out. Second, when the player presses R1 or R2, the player enters a hold animation. The player can stay in this animation as long as they want without using any stamina, and also roll out of it. However, any movement breaks this animation. This means you cannot back up or otherwise move from your position without starting the entire animation over again. Additionally, if you are locked onto an enemy that moves out of your cone of death, your character will turn to face them and no longer be in the hold position. Third, ballistas fire differently than arrows or bolts. While the latter 2 fire from approximately neck height, the ballista bolts seem to be aiming for the dick. Another difference is that the ballista bolts pierce enemies as well as destructible objects. Fourth, firing ballista bolts physically moves the player backwards. That's not an exaggeration. Firing these fucking things actually sends the player backwards. The only benefit of this is that the player's hurt boxes also move backwards, but I'm sure that'll never be a factor in this. Once a player fires the ballista bolt of any variation, they are locked in a 5-second animation that they cannot roll out of. Hey, asshole, tab back in the fucking video and listen to what I'm saying. Firing these weapons forces you into a 5-second animation. This is me firing the weapon and spamming roll. Fun. This is gonna be fun. After killing Kirk, the Chaos Servant simp, we get the bell bearing that no one else but me would ever give a fuck about, and money dump the Siamese sisters back at the Nexus for all the thick beast bones I can afford. I then immediately craft 300 bone ballista bolts. That'll be enough, probably. I don't know. I'm almost ready to challenge Margit for her jar cannon, but I forgot to do one thing first. Back in New Vegas, I head to Fort Frottage to retrieve the other half of the water chip. They're definitely gonna let me back in the vault now.
No.
Teleporting to Bedlam, we're gonna go to the lift, and after making the quick ride to the grand lift of Biggest Dectus, I travel to West Virginia and challenge Maneater Mildred, and she kills me in one hit. I didn't notice it at this moment, but there's another issue that the ballista suffers from. Remember that 5-second animation lock your character's stuck in? Well, apparently, Miss Ellen Ring considers this to be free game for counter damage. That's right, idiot, you heard me. Getting hit in this 5-second time hell causes you to take increased damage. At Mount Gilmer Girls, I continue the age-old tradition of robbing from those who died of old age. A grafted sign comes down from the heavens above, so I promptly quit the fuck out. Loading back into the world, I start heading up the ladder, and the Scion was discontinued. The Land of Ladders continues to take me up and up until I reach the Volcano Cave. Volcano Cave is short. Getting to the boss isn't the problem. Killing the boss, however...
And a little bit of chicken fried.
After some searching and slaying, I was able to upgrade the hand ballista to +4. Without even going back to Margaret, I know this ain't gonna be enough. So, I'm going to kill the Crystal Lizard Man for the bell bearing that lets me buy the shitty version of Somber Stones. After one cycling the dungeon, I engage the boss.
Well, these guys, after you do a certain amount of damage to them, they get squishy.
It took 9 shots to crack the boss open. I even ran out of bone bolts, but you know your boy come in clutch with that extendo mag! Back at the round table to purchase stones, I upgrade the hand ballista to +8. Let's see if that's good enough. I don't know if the weapon isn't good enough, I'm not good enough, or both. If it's the weapon, I can still fix that with more smithing stones. If it's me, using the patented run past fucking everything this series taught me back in 2011, I make my way to the sealed tunnel to get Smithy's well-boiling tuiwoo. Fuck it, cut that out. Don't keep. Back to the round table, purchase upgrade hand ballista, +11. Back to Margaret. Volcano Cave, Fog Gate, let's go. Let's try that again. It's just that easy. Now that we have the jar cannon, we can upgrade it to the highest we can go. First, the easiest thing to do is visit Evil Genius to upgrade it from 0 to 4. For Somberstone 5, I go to the Shaded Castle, where I'm promptly greeted by the maitre d'. Reincarnate, get lost, find the stone. I thought they stopped making these things. Somberstone 6 will be in Volcano Manor, so that's the next stop. Making my way to the top of the mountain and avoiding the goat at its peak, I head to the manor below and avoid the guy having a gamer tantrum. Speaking with Tanner, I bear Seek Lest her into giving me the Deviant Art key. This room has an invisible wall that I use in order to make my way to Corona Mountain. After some hardcore parkour on the rooftops and making my way through the sunroof, I take a safety side of Grace just in case. Somberstone 6 is right on top of this roof after exiting, and Somberstone 7 is also accessible from the Volcano Manor. I just gotta get up. This bondage elevator, headshot the Apostle standing still, run away and pick up Somberstone 5, which means I didn't need to go to Shady Sands to begin with. Actually fucking hit the guy consistently, teabag for good measure, and raise the bridge. For all you turbo nerds watching, you can no longer do this jump as of patch 1.04. This footage is from patch 1.03. Sombers 8 and 9 are both at the Grey Dragon Burrow. 8 is dropped by this dung beetle just hanging out on this branch and then hanging over this cliff and then dead. Somber 9 is being held by one of the furtive pygmy corpses nearby. The hell happened to my accent there for a second? From here, it's back to the publisher of Guns the Duel, and finally the jar cannon is +9. Everything's gonna be easy from here on out, baby. It ain't. It's not. Time for our first real boss, Margit. With my jar cannon in hand, I go in and do a whopping 750 damage! This fight's over. Alright, here's the one where I kill him. Examining this fight, I notice a number of things. The animation lock your character is stuck in after firing the ballista is interruptible, which means Margit hitting me with his input readers actually benefits me in this fight. Margit also immediately begins running as soon as he is hit until he does whatever attack he's slated to do. Range greatly affects the damage ballista bolts can do, and being further away, while safer, will make this fight go on longer. Headshots do big numbers. The safest occasions to attack are usually at a distance, but the end of a combo or some heavily telegraphed attacks can also be capitalized on as well, which is how this fight ends. I equip the arrow's reach talisman during his death rattles and use the souls I gained to level from 19 to 23. Continuing through the castle, I run into Gasco's warehouse, who tells me not to use the main gate. Slipping through this hole that was made for me, I go up more flights of stairs than a firefighter doing a 9/11 tower climb tribute. I go into clearly a trap room and find myself cornered. I get pretty far in and then remember that I forgot to do something, so I leave. We're going to the High Road Cave, located conveniently underneath the High Road, so technically it should be called the Below Road Cave. After doing that thing that everyone loves in FromSoft games, I fight a squid, get lost, and make my way to the boss. The boss of this area is Guardian Golem. I wake him up from his nap and we begin our very honorable fight. He's slow, the arena's big, the fight's over. This boss drops the Blue Dancer charm. This talisman increases damage the lower your equip load is. It doesn't go by percentage, it goes by hard value numbers. Since the jar cannon weighs 15 and the arrow sting talisman weighs 0.8, the Blue Dancer's charm considers us to have 15.8 total weight, which is actually wrong because the Blue Dancer charm also has weight on it as well. Note that even the slightest difference in weight with the talisman can influence damage numbers. For example, equipping and unequipping the arrow sting talisman gains and loses me 5 attack rating. Obviously 5 attack rating to increase ballista damage by 10%, which would roughly at this point be 65 attack rating, doesn't much matter, as demonstrated in this clip. Point here is that wearing armor is detrimental to doing more damage when this talisman is equipped. Glass cannon. Haha! Funny joke! Funny! Back in Stormvale. I wanna die! Back in Stormvale Castle, I am pursued by my nation's Boyd, get a collateral, and pick up an essential item. I try to play the game like normal. Running past everything as usual, I make my way to the next side of Grace, go up the elevator, and then immediately get to the side of Grace outside of Godric. First phase is piss baby easy. He even gets stuck on some of these tombstones. Run away, dodge the wind, free damage, going into phase 2. Phase 2 is different. Not different as in hard, but as in the Vietnam War from the North's perspective different. After getting his great rune and watching Glasgow turn his brains into wine, I level up to 28. Back in Utah, I head to the mid lane and down the dungeon. I begin fighting Margaret's sister, who is much easier, and get what I came here for, the Ritual Sword Talisman. This talisman increases your damage by 10% so long as your HP is at 100%. No idea if it increases both the attack rating of the weapon as well as the ballista bolts, or just the weapon. Don't care. I'm glowed up. I just keep coming back to the bayou. Grabbing the Weast map, I teleport to the sunken city, talk about a VTuber.
I do know that people really don't like me for whatever reason. I mean, that makes sense.
Steal some idiot's Hogwarts acceptance letter, and Kev hypes me up on the way to the Red Wolf by talking about how much a loser's Zoomers are.
Or even fucking just Zoomers in general when it comes to like, because I know you saw it where like people were like so fucking like apparently stressed out from the bowling ball porn gif, and it's like, dude, this is like level 0. Like, it's not even like a person or like a monster or like, I feel like the, you know, like the Spyro pooping art, like that's worse than the fucking bowling pin getting fucked. Like that's it. It's just a bowling pin getting fucked.
This is one of those bosses that's not really a boss. The fight starts out with me blasting her immediately as I walk through the fog gate. She's fast, but the arena's big, and the blue spell swords take more time to get to me than I take to heal. I bring her down to Magic Pixel and seal the deal afterwards. Level 32. Dodging the bowling ball. Dodging the bowling ball, I headshot Moongrum. Shit. I snipe Moongrum, he's pissed. I airshot him. God damn it! Whatever, you know, he's dead. Entering the library, I'm met by some ASD cuties and skip the rest of the cutscene. My first try on this goes horribly. Although I one-shot the Chinese foot-binding girls without any issue, any damage I take staggers me and I have to restart my attack from the beginning. I also die like a fucking cartoon character. Second try. I noticed that the Super Mario 64 Boo House book attacks that they do is 3 at a time, and that there's an opening to attack without being staggered. Not only that, but the books do have a maximum range. Taking her to phase 2, I realize that she's easily staggered by the ballista bolt. Also during this fight, I start utilizing the eject button after beginning an attack. The only time she's not staggered is when she's summoning because she has hyper armor for it. And the dragon's not an issue. I have enough distance and it keeps its distance as well. These wolves, however, stick around for much, much longer. But as I said before, he's slow, the arena's big, the fight's over. 2 great runes means I can now enter the royal capital, level 37. One of the doors in Majula has opened and the locust preacher tells me about some feast that's about to begin, so she gives me a brown bag to take leftovers home. Back to running past everything, Margit astral projects himself. After trying to fight him semi-normally, I decide to cheese his ass from the hilltop. He drops a Viridian City Medallion +1, which increases maximum stamina. I also level to 39. Moving on past the giant boys, I come to the Draconic Tree Sentinel. For whatever reason, killing this guy is required to enter the royal capital. For starters, this guy has 2 ranged attacks, fireballs and lightning. Both hurt a lot. Anytime I'm at a safe range that I could get a ballista shot off, the horse just shoots me with a fireball. It's not fun. The best I can do is wait until he does a jumping attack, which he then follows up with a melee, hit him with a ballista while he's animation locked, then he dodges and shoots a fireball at me. Okay. Phase 2 has all the fun of Phase 1, except now he's got red lightning that has, shall we say, a tight window to dodge.
Susco definitely played this game.
Yeah, 100%.
This seems possible and extremely unfun, but that's kind of the point of a challenge run. 2 things really fucked me up on this fight. Triple red lightning bolt attack, and the fact that all his melee attacks have shockwaves! Also, apparently I was wrong about him doing his 2 melee hits and then dodging because I guess he can just decide not to do that.
You still ain't getting in here with them shoes.
I'm not sure why. I don't know if my 3rd eye unlocked or what the hell happened, but I decided to fight him on horseback and holy fuck, I can do this. What you're seeing right now is literally my first attempt on horseback. I bring him to phase 2 easily, get him down to about 1/5 of his health, and completely forget that Torrent can jump over these kinds of attacks. I try to get Torrent back, but that fucking lightning attack, I hated it like you wouldn't believe, bro. The rest of this fight, I just rinse and repeat what I already know, and somehow managed to kill. I fucking hate this game. Managed to win despite the fact that I fought him without Arrow Sting Talisman for that last portion of the fight. This boss is worth 50,000 runes, and you already know what the fuck I'm about to do with them. I need ballista bolts. Like, Actual ballista bolts. The merchant that sells them is here in the coal miner country. One ballista bolt costs 300 runes. Doing the math, I could purchase 100 ballista bolts and still have enough to gain a level or two. So I buy 166 ballista bolts and have 200 runes left. I now have 40 total shots on me before my weapon is useless without Torrent. Entering on Orlando for the first time, I start grabbing all the items I'll never use. The magic pixel is finally on my side for once, and I continue down to the town below. Picking up the seedbed curse, the Secret Service stops me from getting to the Rose Garden.
And we begin with the latest security scare at the White House. The Secret Service says an agent shot an armed man outside the executive mansion after he refused to drop his weapon.
Second attempt, I eventually find my way to the next side of Grace where the white woman leaves me. I go the wrong way again and take a shortcut back to the bonfire I was just at. After some more rooftop running, I rob all Lionel's shit and lose to the Omen Killer. Twice. In the stranded graveyard we find— wait, how the fuck am I here? When did I get this incantation or this sacred seal? Weird. I'm sure it's nothing. Anyway, I used the Hero's Rune 2 I picked up earlier on my way to killing myself and leveled to 41 by putting 2 points into Faith. Back where I'm supposed to be, I keep forgetting where to go my way down the stairs and engage the bowman in an honorable duel that goes quite well until my character decides he wants to no-scope the last shot? I genuinely try to kill these guys, but remember that I'm playing a FromSoft game and do that thing I've said 1,000 times already. Moving up the Archdragon, I solid snake my way past the dangerous dude, get shanked, and hit this guy for more damage than I think I've ever seen this weapon do. The ritual sword wasn't even active, so I go back to test the damage and see what it would have been. Wow. What about on an enemy who hasn't noticed me yet, but with the proper ballista bolt? Down the stairs, behind the big bird, up the roots, to Godfrey's shade we go. I immediately start getting some distance between me and Godfrey. Ready my ballista, and he fucking dodges it. Oh boy. Hope he doesn't do that again. Okay, then hitting him again after a heavy attack, take some damage, run away, get a hit. Alright, go for 2. I guess not. He dodges at a certain distance, but only when his AI thinks he's within distance to follow up with a Hoarfrost Stomp, I think. But I also can hit him if he's too close. But also there's times where he dodges the Stomp even if he's too far away. What the fuck is going on in this fight? And he might be intangible when he's in the air. Alright, second try goes rather poorly. Not only does he seem to indiscriminately decide when he wants to dodge ballista bolts, but I also notice another issue with the jar cannon as well. When running away from and locked onto an enemy that is 180 degrees behind your character, if you press R1, your shot will more than likely miss because your character is not fully turned around. This means you actually have to wait for your character to completely turn around before firing in order to make sure that you're actually fucking aiming at the thing you're locked onto! I realize I can fire over balconies on either side of the arena, so I'll probably try to kill him that way. Third try, and he flies over the top of my head, which is outside of my cone of death that I mentioned forever ago, so I have to readjust and take an ill-advised shot, which leads to a very deserving—
No, I'm at the finger seal.
Fourth go, I try and hide underneath some wooden balconies so he can't do that This game, dude. Alright, maybe he can't do it once he's underneath. What the actual fuck?
He's a ghost. Of course you can go through walls.
Fifth run, I look for a spot that he can't get me, and I find it. Try number 6, make some space, and take a shot which he dodged. Seriously, what the fuck is going on in this fight? This one ends in a speedrunner stomp anyway. 7th attempt. I've got a plan. I'm going to maximize as much range as possible, hope he goes for a jump attack, which I will then immediately run away from to the other side of the room while he's doing, and keep doing this until he's dead. This run goes much better than previous ones, and after delivering the killing blow—
Nice spare!
God fuck. Come on, dude. Christ Almighty, our Savior is dead. Using his runes, I leveled to 42, and with 15 faith, so I can use the fire buff.
Okay.
Let's talk about this buff for a quick minute. Flame Grant Me Strength, which I'm just going to be calling the fire buff from now on, does 2 things. Increases physical damage you do, and increases fire damage you do. It lasts for 30 seconds and costs 28 focus points, which means I can cast it twice in one life unless I add more flask to the chug jug. Without the fire buff, I have 898 attack rating on the jar cannon. With the fire buff, I fucking love this weapon. I fucking hate this weapon. Alright, where was I? Alright, yeah. First off, I fucking fucking hate when fights don't put me at the fog gate. I'm literally right in front of him. Make some distance, buff myself, take a shot that he instantly capitalizes on. Doesn't seem like he dodges much, if at all, for this phase, which is good, but the first fight goes about how anyone would expect it to. Round 2, I pre-buff before going in, line up a headshot that is on par for the fucking course with my previous attempts, aimbot my second shot, which is interrupted by his input readers again, and managed to hit 1446. That's 1,446 damage on a headshot, and I get punished for it. After dodging straight into the Final Fantasy XIV DLC, I gain a fuckload of distance and 2 more shots before getting sent to the own zone. Third try. Fire buff, aimbot 2 shots, he decides to Heaven Sword, so I go for 3. Fight goes way better than previous runs, but I keep fucking up the melee dodges. Fourth try is where I realize the opener of shoot, shoot, Heaven Sword, shoot is going to be pretty consistent for every attempt, which is nice considering I feel like I'm hitting a wall. A few more attempts and I get him to second phase and realize 2 important tidbits. One, he has hyper armor during his transformation animation, at least at the beginning, and he also dodges ballista bolts. Like, actively dodges them. Fuck me. I get him to phase 2 on my second run and try to sneak in some damage after his transformation. I even try getting an arena's worth of distance to see if he only dodges when he's ever so far from me, but you won't believe what happens now. Having to think mid-fight, I deduce I'll have to hit him during an animation to do any damage, and the only one I've seen that'll give me enough time is when he does his spear charge.
Yeah, probably the spear charge attack.
Yeah, that!
But I don't know how you get him to do that.
And I didn't either, but I was sure it had to do with being in melee range, so I tried it out. Hoping that wasn't going to be the only opening for me, I try to shoot Margit after he throws a spear. And it's just going to be the spear charge. Okay, that's cool, that's cool, that's awesome. Very epic Margit. Pacing myself to ensure I don't get too greedy, I carefully attempt to bait his spear attack, which he then follows up on with an input reader. I read wrong, he reads wrong, readings amp hard. Hoping that the previous dodges were flukes, I can't fucking believe I'm that stupid. The stars align, however, and I perfectly space out the last spear charge and deliver the kill shot.
Chop, chop.
I'm done playing Rings of Elden. I'm sorry to all my fans who only watch. Alright, now show the one where I kill him. Literally baby playtime easy boss.